And welcome back once again to Let's Play Fear and Hunger 2 Termina for the final time in our Maso mode playthrough. We've got quite a bit ahead of us in this video. We've got to take out every single remaining contestant, which there are quite a lot left since we've only had an opportunity to kill a couple of them at this point. Which is also going to involve a bit of backtracking. I'm also going to do a honest effort to take out some of the optional bosses, namely the mob, who honestly is not that difficult at this point, but I just want to get him out of the way just for the sake of doing it. There's not really any benefit to fighting them either, because Karen cannot use two-handed weapons. And additionally, I want to take out a boss that is Maso exclusive, which is going to require that I learn a few skills, and honestly I'm probably going to come up with on the fly how I want to get all the skills that I need. Probably going to need to get a few more soul stones, and let me see, I just want to top off my health here, so I'm just going over the various options that I have. Let's just use one of these mixed herbs. We still got quite a bit of healing left on the table. Now, our first order of business is to get into the museum, because there are a couple of things waiting there that will give me some solidity going into the rest of the game. I don't want to check any of the searchable items at this moment before going into the museum, for a very particular reason. This is another infamous moment that sometimes gets people killed. The scene where Pocket Cat comes out with the wheelchair. Wasn't paying attention there. I don't want to attack him at this moment. We want to keep Pocket Cat alive for right now, and he will definitely be the last enemy that we fight. But that is another situation where the dialogue box does not pause the Moonscorch timer, so it is very easy to let yourself be killed by Pocket Cat there. Now, first order of business, of course, is to take out the mechanical dance over here, so I just want to go over my setup real quick. I think I'm going to equip the let me see, the Salmon Snake Ruin, just for safety's sake, and we're gonna go into this fight. Now, the mechanical dance, the main thing about it is that it projects poison at the end of the turn, hitting you with some damage and the severe poisoning status. I want the Ring of Wraiths to offset some of the poison damage, and we can otherwise just tank some of the worst of it. Contrary to what you might expect, I'm not going to Pheromones my Blood Golem just to start. I'm actually going to go for Double Black Smog, because the mechanical dance, it doesn't hit that hard on its own, and despite what you might expect, it is actually vulnerable to blindness, so looks like we're gonna take a couple hits there, but we are fine. It can also lower your mind a little bit, but nothing that the Betel Stone can't offset. And there we have to take the poison damage, but she was not blinded actually, so we have to go for that again. If it fails to blind this time, then I'm just going to go straight into pheromonesing the Blood Golem, but there we go, okay. Let me see, yeah, honestly, I should just pheromones him just to be safe. Now, the Blood Golem has a pretty decent chance of dying due to poison damage here, so that's just something that we have to deal with, especially when we get unfortunate stuff like, you know, the hits actually connecting in spite of the blindness. Now, let me see here. So what is my equipment set up at the moment? I am actually going to want to switch around my equipment once the next turn comes up. For right now, let me see, I do just want to give myself a quick boost of healing real quick. And then I'm going to equip the Death Mask to get some bonus damage there. As you can see, La Danse Macabre is maxed out, so we're getting a 100-point boost. And now that the damage has been redirected, gotta take off the Salmon Snake Rune, clip the Choc, get another 100 points there. And at this point, Double Black Smog is just going to absolutely tear through the mechanical dance. Okay, so that's going to be the death of our Blood Golem there, but let's see what we get off of this damage here. If this doesn't take out its arms, I'm going to re-equip the Salmon Snake Rune just so we can avoid the potential for limb loss here, since we don't really have a way to deal with that. Actually, okay, so this should allow me to just take out the other arm, and then this thing is going to be no threat after. Mechanical Dance, not too big a threat if you have the right setup for it, which is basically the case for all the bosses in the game at this point. And once the fight is over, we'll be able to just restore ourselves with, what was it? Some more healing items and some more mind restoratives and whatever. Okay, so let me see. With that taken care of, we want to heal off the poison right there. So let me see. It's under healing. I always forget where white vials are categorized because they're technically a healing item. Let me see, I just want to go over. For the next fight coming up, we definitely want the Bremen Elite helmet. And Ring of Wraiths should not be necessary, so I am going to equip the Salmon Snake rune because there's a chance for bleeding to hit off of this also. So, do I want to give myself a quick boost of healing here? Yeah, honestly. Now, the main reason we wanted to kill Mechanical Dance, also, despite what you might expect, we can, in fact, behead the Mechanical Dance, and although I did not draw too much attention to this, a Mechanical Dance is, of course, the Moonscorch form of Olivia. Yeah, even though it's... Oh, that Soulstone is super lucky. It is actually extremely rare to get those through searching random lootable objects in the environment, so it's pretty nice. There is, in fact, 3 Moonscorch contestants within the museum. Aside from Olivia's Mechanical Dance, there is also Judgement, who is the Moonscorch form of Tanaka, and... I'm kind of dancing around this, but the Pocket Cat that we see at this point in the game is actually the Moonscorch form of Dan. Dan has a unique game over where if he Moonscorches, you instead get a little cutscene where he becomes a dirty, degenerate furry. Pocket Cat's words for the transformation, not mine. So yes, that is Dan's Moonscorch form. It's fairly unique. Let's see, he's over here. We do not want to kill him at this point because we can trade heads for Books of Enlightenment, giving us extra saving power. Nice, got a beer there, and some lavender. So the big reason I wanted to kill Olivia, and I'm just going to kill Judgement just because we're here already and it's convenient to do so, so may as well take him out. Just lighting all these candles for the bit of mine. It's not like I'm going to use my matches anyway. I don't know if I probably drew attention to this, but the museum does in fact infinitely loop. It's the only location like this in the game. So let me see. I always just remember Judgement is hanging out on the left side, so if we loop around... man, where is he? One thing... Okay, so we've wrapped around here. I think, man, I can't believe I'm having trouble finding him. If I end up bumbling around too long, I will just cut ahead until I find him, but I'm pretty sure he's around here somewhere. You can tell when the light shifts, that's when you looped around. Where the heck is he? There's the Mechanical Dance again. So I feel like if we... Every time I've done this, maybe we have to head to the left a little bit. Let me see. So we want to hang on to our contestant heads to trade to Pocket Cat. Where the heck is Judgement? I can't believe I'm not finding this guy. But we do want to hang on to our contestant heads to trade to Pocket Cat, since he gives us access to Books of Enlightenment, giving us extra saves to work with. And we want to save him for last, precisely because of this reason. Of course, we've already got all of the functional books that we could care to have at this point. What I was going to say about Judgement is that, uniquely, if you go to the tunnels as Abella, what the heck, where is he? You will not have the ability to fight him because he does get killed by needles, since Abella's Moonscorch form is obviously not going to be there since you're playing as her. Alright, I'm just going to cut ahead until I find him. Where the heck is he? Okay, here he is. That was weird. I've never, like, just completely lost track of this guy. Anyways, Judgement is one of the handful of enemies that can inflict blindness on you. That is the reason why I want the Bremen Elite helmet instead of the Death Mask for this fight, because that blindness, you cannot be infected with, or inflicted with blindness. If you have the Bremen Elite helmet, it gives you immunity. Judgement himself is not immune to blindness, so we can also just lower his accuracy by quite a bit. I also equipped the Salmon Snake rune, I believe. Yes. So that we're immune to the bleeding because, oops, undo one of those and just do another Black Smog because just saves us a little bit of health there. He should be blind now, so yeah, we can just let him go. But the main attack to watch out for, I forget what it's called. I want to say it's the rather goofily named Glass Ceiling that just drops glass on both you and the Blood Golem. That is the attack that can inflict blindness on you. Pretty nasty. But otherwise, Judgement is... There it is, Glass Ceiling. Yeah, I'm glad I remembered that correctly. But otherwise, Judgement is not terribly difficult. We should be able to handle him. You should be able to handle him no problem at this point, especially if you've got Spice Forge augmented spells to work with. And, you know what? We can just start saving our mind here, so let's just start whacking him. I don't know if he has any head-based skills or if he defaults to tackling in this situation. But regardless, this is just a good opportunity to start doing some normal attacks on him, get some mind back, save us some trouble later. There we go, he's missing, and yes, he does have access to tackles. I'm just going to do a double attack here, not overly concerned with fully restoring myself, and there we go, that's Judgment taken care of. Now, hopefully I can get to Pocket Cat. Nice, 20 shillings. Probably at the cap for shillings at the moment. Now, let's hopefully get to Pocket Cat and purchase some Books of Enlightenment here. Also just gonna spend some time exploring the rest of the museum, so let me see. This time, I should be able to get to Pocket Cat no problem, so if I recall correctly, we just have to go up this way and then go left here, and we should come across him. Yeah, yep, here we are. The unusual looping nature of the Bohemian Natural Museum does make it a bit hard to get through. We've already seen this conversation. If you want to see this conversation in full, I covered it in part 6 of the Let's Play, so let's just get 2 Books of Enlightenment here, which will give us the ability to roll some mulligans. One of these is probably going to be absolutely mandatory, because one of the fights is very, very dicey without being able to save beforehand. We might be able to get one more save book off of him before we kill him, but that's going to be dependent on how many heads we're actually able to get at this point. Like before, Poes appear in the museum. They are not that big of a threat. If I'm really desperate at this point, finally, oh man, suddenly getting all the alcohol I needed. Like, the big reason I came here was because one of the skills we can get from Mechanical Dance, specifically Advanced Botany, will allow us to convert our useless lavender into condensed lavender, which restores 100 mind if you combine it with some red herbs. But that's suddenly not becoming so necessary. Sometimes that happens, and I mean, I appreciate it. We're just going to ignore the pose. Well, at this point, they're fairly unthreatening. We can just kind of spam red red arc and double black smog if we get into fights with them. If I can come across some of these items here, let me see. We're going to take the fluted breastplate, though we're not reliant on the fluted equipment here. Galleon Greatsword is useless, so let's smash this, grab another Chaugnar, and get a Yagatsu amulet. There we go. So yes, that's how you get 2 items. I screwed that up in the main videos. And with that all grabbed, we're just going to get the heck out of here. There is nothing else we care to do. Like I was saying earlier, if I'm really desperate for mind restoration, we do have heroin at our disposal, and we're kind of past the... Sorry, throat's getting a little dry. We're kind of past the point where I'm overly apprehensive about the effects of withdrawal, since we have enough heroin that any major fight we're going to get into, we can make sure to go into it while we're high, so we can actually enjoy the benefits of just getting that full mind restore right there. Now that that's taken care of, we don't want to go straight down, because there's a bell end that'll drop down, plus it'll tick up the death mask coffin over that way, and we do kind of want to avoid those at this point. Kasara is completely useless at this point. Might still find some uses for bullets. And we just want to grab all this junk over here. Hey, more vodka and heroin. We're doing great. We're doing great. All right, let's pop back in here and grab a couple skills. So once again, I want to take inventory of my soul stones here. So let's just take a look at what we got here. So we killed Tanaka, so we got the latent soul, but there's nothing I really care about, so we don't need the +1 agility. And the other stats we can get far too marginal to really matter. What is important is the soul that we got from Olivia, the Shadowed Soul. This allows us to teach or learn Advanced Botanism, which will let us create additional crafting items with the herbs that we have. We want to take that because, of course, it'll let us make condensed lavender. If we had other items at our disposal, we could also make some other things. Undergrowth Awareness is also one I'm going to take. This allows us to collect hemlocks, nettles, and wild dagas. Now, the notable of those is hemlocks, which, with the skill Toxicology, you can combine them with red herbs to make condensed hemlocks, which is the only option you have for inflicting severe poisoning in this game. And it's a pretty strong option, honestly. Severe poisoning is a super, super strong DOT effect, but it's not really a critical one to use, so we're not going to take it right now. I've already got setups that allow me to get by just fine without it. I may pick it up later if we have extra soul stones, though, just for a singular fight that we're going to get into. Now, the next thing I want to do is we want to go and kill Samari real quick so that we can pick up Blood Sacrifice and Masturbation. That'll allow us to go back to the orphanage, max out our Sylvian and Gorgoroth affinities so that I can pick up Loving Whispers and Black Orb, and that'll pretty much set me to kill everything else in the rest of the game. So first order of business, of course, is, let's see here. Let's equip our Eye of Sylvian real quick, and just quickly top ourselves off with one of the beers that we got. And let me see here. Got another mixed herbs here. Not overly concerned about burning through too many of these, and I just want to get myself set up for the next fight we're going to get into. Don't need the Bremen Elite Helmet for a bit, so we're going to go back to the Death Mask for some extra damaging. Keep the Salmon Snake Rune so that we have limb protection in the event that I need it. And let's see, let's put on the Chaugnar. And I'm debating... Battlestone is probably a better idea at this point, so this is what we're going to be going in with. With the combination of Blood Golem and First Blood Golem, we're going to be doing pretty good on the action economy. That'll give us extra rev points to work with at the start of the battle, plus give us a free 10 mind at the start. Let's see here. I do not want to fight any Bellends at this moment until we actually have access to Black Orb, which will allow me to basically just kill them on the first turn. We want to open up this path back to Central Street. And we just want to dive into the sewer real quick. At this point, we can kill Bobbies, no problem. We're going to start every battle with points to use free Black Smog, which will just allow us to destroy all these guys' arms in a single shot, and then work on their body with the Black Steel. As I've mentioned previously, without killing the Heartless one, Black Steel is in fact the best weapon Karin can hope to use. Karin, however you prefer to address her. That is the best weapon she can possibly hope to use. Tackle is a little bit unfortunate, but I'm not overly concerned about it. Since we're on an extra turn, we're just going to attack his body. If I can kill him this turn, that's great. If not, then we will just go into turn again with double Black Smog, and this will almost certainly kill him. We've revved up so much magic at this point, he's just not going to stand a chance. There we go. So I think that the Bobbies being vulnerable to being killed by Murky Vials might be an oversight, because as you can see, Black Smog will always miss the head when it's spinning rapidly, but it will connect. Let me see here. While we're not in a hurry to get into a boss fight, I might as well equip the Leechmonger. Or rather, actually, the Ring of Wraiths is probably better, since the healing is pretty similar to what Karin can hope to do. Oh, no, do not investigate. Get down. Damage is pretty similar to what Karin can, or the healing is pretty similar to what Karin can expect to get off of the actual damage. Also, I just wanted to demonstrate how Bobbies are no threat to us now. And we can kill them pretty easily with the skills that we got. Plus, they're pretty much a free source of heads at this point. Now, some people do like to keep Bobbies alive because they are an infinitely restoring enemy that allows you to abuse regenerative effects to get health and mind back without much issue, especially once you can destroy their arms with Black Smog. I personally do not care too much for, obviously, abusive game mechanic strategies like that. Funnily enough, this is still the case in the first game, and it was in the case in the earliest versions of this game. You could actually get proc regen effects off of fighting doors, which gave you easy way to restore yourself in most areas, since you could just guard against the door and the regen would proc. This still works in the first game because... I guess partially it's just because this doesn't get patched out in Termina until after, or it didn't get patched out in Termina until after that game released, and the first game had been out for a very long time. It was never corrected. But also partially in the first game, getting items that give regen effects is entirely based on RNG. There is no consistent way to actually guarantee that, so it's not a reliable strategy in that game. Let me see. Just in case we get into a fight with a... sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Crimson Father. I do not want to have Black Steel equipped, because if they happen to proc Mind Control on Karin on the first turn, which they will get it easily because we have the Blood Golem effect, which gives them... it's an end-of-turn effect, which allows them to use it when the battle begins, if we have First Blood Golem. Just something we kind of have to deal with. It's much more preferable that she's just punching herself than whacking herself with Black Steel, because if she gets a crit, very high probability that she'll just kill herself outright with that. Something you have to be very, very careful of when you get inflicted with the confusion status. Alright, so heading this way, something that you probably won't see in a standard playthrough, sorry, gotta get these items, still gotta do my looting, is that if you get to this area on day 3, or at least I think it's day 3, definitely by day 3 night, the Dysmorphia will just already be formed. You'll immediately be thrust into encounter. I'm just gonna throw pheromones on blood golem to start. Hopefully we don't miss. We did not. And Dysmorphia is just gonna start flinging out hurting. It's kind of interesting that those are dealing 50 damage. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. This is actually connects into something that I haven't really mentioned, but it is funny to note, is that that whole thing about taking your damage resistances being increased by 50%, that is something that strictly applies to your character. It is not something the Blood Golem or the Ghouls have to worry about. So on a pure defensive level, they are actually slightly better than your main character in these situations, so... Yeah, looks like Hurting's gonna take him out, but we've got so much damage on her at this point, she should probably die. This is something that we didn't really get to see when I fought her properly, is that Dysmorphia can cast Necromancy to bring in some adds to help her out here. Okay, yes, her arms are gone, so she is completely hosed. She can't do anything anymore. So we'll just cast another double Black Smog. This should take her out. She only has like 1200 torso HP. As you can see, the damage off of that can get quite explosive. We'll just light these candles here real quick to get ourselves some free mind back. And we will take her head off. As soon as she's done talking, kind of let myself back up a little prematurely there. Alright, got Dysmorphia's head. Pretty easy fight. It's actually not outside the realm of possibility to defeat her on your first time here, although I wouldn't recommend it. If you can get a burning effect on her and just stack otherworldly defense to avoid being killed by her hurtings. Remember that spells from enemies always deal fixed damage, so you can always know exactly how hard those are going to hit you. As you can see, they were always hitting the Blood Golem for 50 damage because he has just base 100% otherworldly resistance. But yeah, this is one of the big things that contests how people claim the damage in Maso mode is double, because the hurting spells do still just do the fixed damage ranges, and those were double. Those would be an instant kill on you. Not even sure if any of the candles are functional here. Anyways, we're just going to ignore that guy real quick. So now we need to work our way back to... Yeah, no... They'll only get us one soul stone here. Now we need to work our way back to Donovan's house and pick up Masturbation and Blood Sacrifice. And I'm just going to cut out the return trip, and there's going to be quite a bit of backtracking at this point, because now I also have to get back to... Actually, you know what? I'm going to go to Donovan's house, I'm going to pick up Masturbation and Blood Sacrifice, then off-screen I'm going to return to the... orphanage, use the ritual circles there, return to Donovan's house once again, pick up Black Orb and Loving Whispers, and then that will be where we resume, and we will continue our boss slaughter again. Just crafting up some murky vials here so that I have them. How many shillings do I have? Am I at the cap here? No, tempted to buy an extra soul stone from Dr. Kiefer's, but we'll see there. Let me see. Let me light this up and use the save here just for safety. We're not going to be coming back this way again anyway, so may as well just use this up. Well, we are, but not at a point where I would really care to have this. So I will cut out the backtracking I'm going to do at this point. See you later. Since we're not going to get a chance to really see this guy otherwise, and it's been a while, let's just show off a death mask fight again. Once again, this is just a very straightforward, make sure you have limb protection going into it, and just pheromones your golem right off. As long as you're at full health, and you have good equipment, this guy shouldn't be able to kill you outright. Now, the death mask that they're equipped with does not actually grant immunity to blindness, in contrast to the... Bremen Elite Helmet. So, death masks themselves can be blinded, and when you equip their mask, it does not afford you any protection from that status. Otherwise, since these guys have a pretty high amount of torso HP, I would recommend attempting to inflict burn on them, which the only good option we have for that is Ornament Lanterns or Murky Vials, but those are better used on other things. However, once you take out this guy's eyes, he becomes much less of a threat, because his base accuracy is not that great. Also, I'm by the restaurant at this point, and we did not get the burn to stick through. One thing to note about death masks that I really did not go over when I fought them in the main Let's Play. Okay, this is not working out. So let's just go straight into the double black smog. But one thing that I did not bring up about them is that the combined HP of their legs and their head is actually greater than the amount of torso HP they have, or rather the break value that they have that you want to hit. So it really isn't that efficient to try and take them out via destroying the legs and then going after the head, since the damage or the HP that they have is really close in the damage race that you need in order to take out their break value on the torso and just kill them outright. So there are a handful of enemies in the game where that is the case, and I really would not recommend going for it. Like, look at all those black smogs that we landed there. Now, technically, this is something of a non-issue since we're using double black smog anyway, so we're likely hitting all of his body parts to begin with. Also, that's a remarkably good accuracy he had there. Blindness reduces your chance to hit by like 75%, so it's pretty devastating to pretty much anything. And we're just going to guard here to reduce any potential damage. Guarding also does seem to increase your evasion rate. I'm not 100% sure if it does, but it seems like it does. So maybe that's a placebo effect there, but it really does feel consistent. Also, yeah, I forgot, he has a chainmail dress, so his slashing resistance is pretty hefty. Okay. Oh, right, I forgot I had meditation, so get a nice boost of rev points there when a turn passes while we're guarding. I believe I've mentioned this, but meditation is also bugged in that it gives you the extra rev points when you use items also, so it's even better than the description makes it out to be. Alright, I'm gonna stop in that restaurant to get those wine vials, and then I'll continue my quest. Alright, so on my way back to the orphanage, I figured I'd just take care of something that I wanted to take out anyway. We're going to intentionally trigger the mob fight, hopefully, and just take those guys out of the way now, because we have more than enough damage on our side to just take them out this way. Plus, with the blood golem tanking for us, and just me having a plethora of healing options at my disposal at this point, why even concern myself with the potential resource loss? So the way the mob spawn works is that every area where they can appear have specific trigger zones where if you walk over them, like that, you can trigger the encounter. And I'm not sure what it is. It seems like it's just like a 10 to 25% chance that they will attack you here. So the best way to do that, if you intentionally want to fight them, is just to go to where one of these triggers are and just tap dance over it until they finally show up. Pretty easy to get them to appear that way. We're just going to redirect them onto the blood golem and start spamming black smog. That should take them out. Now these guys are actually vulnerable to blindness, but they have really, really high resistance to it, particularly if you try to inflict it by way of glass shards. Almost never works on them, and it didn't work on them there. The blood golem is probably going to fall if I don't stun them all, so once again, let's just use Mischief of Rats. This is another good way to crowd control the mob. If one of them manages to get through, it is not a huge deal. And at this point, we can, like I said, just start dropping double black smog on them. And they should all fall down in relatively short order. If you want to speed this up, another way to do it, of course, is to just hit him with Murky Vials. Let the DOT damage contribute a lot for you there. As you can see, the Rifleman has just already been taken out. DOT has procced for both of them. So that's just how we're going to keep handling this. Since the Blood Golem took such a beating on the opening salvo, I do want to keep locking these guys with Greater Mischief of Rats. So, a little mind-intensive, but with all that vodka we got, and now that I can create condensed lavenders, which are very, very cheap recipe, takes 2 lavender petals and 1 red herb, not hard at all to make at this point. We can be a bit more frivolous with our mind. I just have to be mindful of when we're getting pretty close to that running out. And at this point, we can just start whacking this guy with Black Steel, and he won't be able to do a thing about it. Save ourselves some mine there. And that should finish him off.
You boys should take up your grievance with City Hall.
Cocoons, of course, have standard drops, and as we saw in the main videos, the meat grinder can also allow you to get the, well, meat grinder, letting you craft, or rather the bench grinder, allowing you to craft the meat grinder weapon, but that's not something we really care about. Alright, that's all I wanted to show off, so I'm going to get back to the orphanage now. I figured I'd show this off since there's a couple we can encounter on the way. I never really got to show it properly, but the Inquisitor's main gimmick is that if you cannot take out their arm within the first turn, they summon a slightly weaker version of the Bobby who only has 2 arms, though functionally he's pretty close to identical to them normally. This is also a chance to show off, I've been talking about it so much, but enemies inflicting you with blindness, which of course is something the Inquisitor can do, because he can cast... Oh, come on, are you serious? Well, that's unfortunate. I did not know he could do that. So he can also cast, hurting on you. I did not care about this at this point, so we're just going to take that lost arm, because we do not need to worry about our arms anymore, though I do definitely want to make sure I don't lose the other one also. I did not know that he could cast hurting, so that was a unique misplay on my part, something to remember for a future playthrough. But like I said, we don't care about guns anymore, so I do not care that I lost my arm there. But yes, I just want him to show off, never mind. So he can cast Black Smog, and when the enemy uses that, all that it does is it blinds you. So we're going to be finishing this game with a one-armed Karen, but that is just how it rolls sometimes. So meet you when we finally have the skills for real this time. Alright, so after some unexpected bumps along the way, here we are back at Donovan's house, and this is probably going to be the last major skill grab I do for the video, as well as the playthrough. So, of course, we want to pick up the ever-useful Black Orb. This will basically allow us to win fights just outright. We also want to pick up Loving Whispers and Healing Whispers, and because I was able to get some additional Soul Stones, we can pick up some extra stuff here. Let me see. I want to get... oh wait, I already have Bob and Weave. Never mind. That was one thing that I wanted to get. Don't care about Adrenaline Rush, because we're not really going to be banking on physical attacks, and it's a really negligible boost. Let me see here. Since we have some spare Soul Stones, I will take Toxicology. Now, honestly, I would like some of the soul or skills from Henrik's soul, but I don't know if there's really going to be a convenient time to come back and grab them, so we may as well just go without those. And of course, we've got to kill Abella, and we've got to kill Dan, but we are all set for that. Of course, August and Pav are already dead at this point. We can't do anything with them, so we've just got 3 more kills to round out, plus a boss that is exclusive to Maso mode that we will be checking out. So let's start working our way back, and that's going to be the last major jump cut for the video, so there is going to be a bit more running around, but I've probably shaved off quite a bit of time on this video, so it's probably not going to be too big a deal. So while we're just trying to get to our next point of interest, I may as well start going over some of my thoughts on the game, since who knows how much time we're going to have during the credits to do that, right? So, one thing that I would like to cover that I've seen this criticism thrown around about this game a little bit, in comparison to the first game purely, that it is a lot more repetitive than the first game due to having less random elements overall, and I actually want to dispute that claim in as far as Fear and Hunger mode goes. I feel like I've demonstrated that there are quite a few variable ways to go through the game, and especially in the early game, there are a lot of different approaches you can take, and many of them have their own sort of bonuses and are viable in their own little way. So I don't necessarily think the criticism that the game is a lot more repetitive than the first game necessarily holds as much water as you might think it does, though I do definitely agree with that criticism when it comes to Maso mode. Maso mode actually is, in the most current version of the game, fairly repetitive across all characters, because the biggest difference between the characters that you pick for Maso mode is simply who has the easiest time dealing with this mode, which, at the most current version of the game, Marina and Marco are in a massive lead for how easy it is to beat Maso mode with them. They have by far the best advantages across the board for taking on this mode, so they just have a very convincing lead in that department, and everyone else is varying degrees of not so great at dealing with this. But otherwise, the same basic strategy for approaching Maso mode is remarkably similar across all characters, which I do feel like is kind of a weakness of Maso mode at the moment. It's very repetitive. It's not too different an experience going through this as, say, Marco and Marina, who simply just have a much easier time of doing it, as we see with Karen, who basically approaches it from the same mindset if you are going for a Hexen augmented run. Now, people have beaten the Maso mode in all sorts of silly self-imposed challenge ways, most common of which being, of course, no hexen, as aforementioned, but also I plugged a no save run. Probably the silliest run people have been messing around with recently is Olivia no wheelchair, which, as you can imagine, quite a nasty self-imposed restriction there, because Olivia moves very, very slow crawling along the floor, and it's more than beatable. Even without being able to launch physical attacks in that state, there's still so much you can do with magic and items that many people have taken the challenge on, and there are more than a few recorded playthroughs and streams of people beating it under that silly condition. So despite all that, like I said, the game is still approached in a pretty similar way across all the characters for Maso mode, regardless of what kind of restrictions you place on yourself and who you tackle it with. So I do definitely think there is a bit of merit to the criticism that the game is repetitive when you look at it in the context of Maso mode. However, on the whole, I do still feel like there's a distinct bit of variance, and even then, having a harder time of Maso mode does still create some interesting challenges for dealing with it, so it's still kind of interesting in that regard. Let me see, what else was I going to say? I know I had a bunch of topics that I wanted to get through while we were doing the repetitive backtracking in this video. One of the big fears I had for this Let's Play is that in the process of doing it, Orange was going to drop the next major content update, and there was going to be a whole new area added to the game, potentially new playable characters if he plans on getting to that in the first major update, and that would have really, really uprooted this Let's Play, but luck held out, and that did not happen, which is both fortunate and unfortunate. The reason the first major content update for this game ended up being so heavily delayed is because Orange just ended up having a serious hardware failure that caused a lot of the implementation, though not the assets, for the first major update to just be completely tossed out the window, and he had to recode a lot of it from the ground up. Very unfortunate. Delayed the first major content update by a ton, but that is kind of something that you just have to deal with when it comes to game development, right? Anyway, for the upcoming fight with the mayor, we do want the Salmon Snake Rune, since he does have potential limb damage that he can inflict on us, and of course he also has access to bleed and infection. We don't want to deal with that. Let me see, we're just going to attack him here. And honestly, I'm just going to fully boost up Black Orb right from the starting gate, and I really should have... Actually, you know what? No. I'm going to do this a little differently. I haven't properly set up Black Orb. I meant to switch it on Spice Forge so that it was I could cast it for much cheaper. So yeah, I didn't really show this guy off too much, but fork hits twice, does bleed and infection damage, and hits pretty hard, despite the fact that it's just a giant fork, although I suppose that makes it not too different from a pitchfork. The knife only hits once, but has a chance of disarming your character, though as you can see from Blood Golem there, not a guaranteed chance. Just one funny thing about the Blood Golem is that sometimes the game will carry over his character ID between fights, and he'll come into a fight already missing arms. Not that it's a huge deal, it's just kind of funny that when that happens. And the mayor, like so many other enemies with exposed eyes, he is also vulnerable to blindness, although it does not look like it actually stuck this time. We've done so much damage to him with Black Smog, we should just be able to whack his torso. This is gonna get a little dicey. Not that I'm overly concerned about it, of course. It's actually very unusual that Black Smog, after 2 casting, doesn't inflict a blind, vulnerable enemy with blind. Okay, there we go. Now, if it wasn't just gonna pad out the video a ton, I absolutely would just go back to the Hexen and pick up Melee Mastery for the next fight, but that's just gonna extend the video to even longer than it's already gonna end up being, depending on how much is cut out after editing. So we're just gonna move back to the Tunnel 7 and take out Abella's Moonscorch form. Before we do that, of course, I want to hit up Spice Forge. Mischief of Rats, he had a great run, but now we've got Greater Black Orb at our disposal. Also, one thing you can do to optimize your mind usage when it comes to healing is switch the Blue Spice onto Loving Whispers whenever you need to top yourself off. That saves you a lot of expenditure on mind cost for healing yourself, so very good idea to do that. anything that I don't have to fight at this point, I'm just going to skip past, because we don't need to turn in any more heads anymore. So why even bother with taking these guys out? We've already got pretty much all the skills that I want at this point. The only other one that I could possibly want is Melee Mastery. We're just going to leave this guy to his fate. And Precision Stance, funnily enough. But that is not critical at all, so we're just going to pass on that. Master Chef also could potentially be useful with the buffing foods, but I don't care enough about those to really go back for it at this point. One thing to note, not that it really matters, is that since it's day 3, you could fight Rancid the Sergal at the Decapitated Icky Turso at this point, if you so desired. Not that a second Sergal Spear really has any tangible benefit when you're a solo character. Plus, there's just a high risk to yourself, because there's a very good chance you will just die outright after the fight is over, because there's just a lengthy bit of dialogue that causes the Moon Scorch timer to still go. Now, Abella should still be trapped at the doorway where we left her. One thing to note is that Abella, much like the Giant, is not immune to guns, so we could take her out that way if we wanted to. For this, though, I'm just going to immediately go into Greater Black Orb on her torso. I'm not overly concerned about what else she can do to us. This has a pretty high probability of just killing her outright. Did not do it, but we should be fine, honestly. Doomsday Trumpet can be pretty nasty. There's pummels, but we're not too concerned about that. Now, Doomsday Trumpet, if it hits you twice, and you do not have a Bourbon Elite helmet, which gives you immunity to this, Doomsday Trumpet, in addition to the absolutely massive mind damage that it can deal to you, it will also blow up your head and kill you instantly. So yeah, definitely be mindful of that. As you can see, it also does massive mind damage, but we're doing good on mind restoratives at this point, so I don't really care too much. I already have all the condensed lavenders that I need for the situation where I want to have them, so we can just use beers and vodkas and stuff with the Eye of Sylvian to take care of ourselves there. May as well use up this blue vial, since otherwise it's just going to rot in my inventory. And let's get the Salmon Snake Rune back on, just in case, although I'm probably going to have to mix up my accessory loadout for what we're about to do next. Now, the next fight that I'm about to do, in any version of Maso mode, this is completely optional. You do not have to do this. You're liable to see it when you are going for ending A and you're coming back from the bunker that contains the third telectroscope in Deepest Woods. But even if you are doing that, you can easily bypass this fight and not have to deal with it at all, and it is advisable that you do that, because you need a highly specific skill setup or a lot of luck to win this fight consistently. And it's one of the main reasons I wanted to pick up some Books of Enlightenment, so that I can just create a safety save right before it and not have to worry about the worst of it. This would also be an opportunity to take out the mob if we had not already done so at this point, because we're going to be going into West Primeval, and they have an astonishingly high chance of attacking you at the spawn triggers there. Especially the one in the Sylvian Plaza, they have a very high chance of appearing there. But that area is a complete dead end in Maso mode. It is too out of the way with no ways to dive indoors to actually save yourself should you go that way, so it is not at all advisable that you check that out. One thing to note is that that garage, if we passed it at this point, the Beekeeper would pop out. There are also other encounters you can get into with the Beekeeper in Maso mode at this point, and you know what? I'm actually going to dive into the sewers to take this route to West Primeval, just so we can get around the SO jobs, which I do not like dealing with. I haven't checked these out earlier. Let's see, over this way, of course, we've got Rat Hag, but she is no match for us at this point. I do still want to be mindful of what she can do, so let me see. I'm just going to cast Red Arc on her head and take her out of the fight immediately that way. Greater Black Orb would probably do the same for cheaper, but I like Red Arc just for the consistency in those situations where I can't guarantee that Black Orb would proc all the hits. Remember, the base evasion on an enemy's head, for the most part, is 40% when it comes to magical attacks. So Black Orb, since it hits up to 4 times, it does have pretty good odds of beating that evasion check, but still, why risk it when you've got a guaranteed thing? Especially since we're not going to be using too many more mind restoratives at this point. So yeah, we're in a pretty good position to finish the game. We only have one more contestant to kill at this point, which of course is the pocket catified Dan. If you have not seen the cutscene where Dan moonscorches, if you time out, I'd highly recommend checking it out because of Pocket Cat's insult against him being pretty funny. It is widely considered one of the most poorly written lines in the game, and if you've browsed around for fan art of this game and have seen any art of Dan as an anime cat boy or rabbit boy or what have you, that scene is the main reason why that has become something of a trend in fan art. It's a very unfortunately worded thing, and oh dear, actually I just realized there is a bit of a problem here in that I don't know the exact route to get to a safe location that is indoors, so we need to be a little careful with how I'm going here. Don't want to tick off the cocoon, and I might have just killed myself here. This is a problem. Uh-oh. Oh dear. So we are actually in a pretty bad situation because I do not know a way to get indoors, and I believe I have a small key at my disposal, but we gotta be very careful. Let's see, double black smog should kill this guy. Yes, there we go. Okay, let's move. Oh geez, I can't believe I just did this. Actually, you know what? We should have enough time to make it back to the sewers, so I'm just going to take that as a safety route because I did not actually plan my route to get through this area very well. Oof. That was actually scary. So let's reset the timer here. Let's actually make sure that I have a small key at my disposal, which I do. This should allow us to get into the news agency, which I actually want to check out because there's an accessory that I want to collect that should help us with the fight that we're about to get into. Might want to also drop my safety save there just in case. So let me see. I always get a little confused with this area because it's not the most intuitively laid out area. We actually want to go this way. Going to that bottom right path just leads you to a whole bunch of trouble. Yeah, so I thought reinforced locks, you could not use small keys on them, but that does not seem to be the case. So I'm not really sure what the deal is with the distinction there. Whatever the case, we actually just want to head to that area with the butterfly necklace, or rather the moth necklace. Oh wait, I can't even get through it. Never mind. Okay, we're going to with the alternate loadout. The reason I wanted to potentially grab that accessory... Oh, never mind, no matches. The reason why I wanted to potentially grab that accessory is because the damage-reducing effect it has when you are at critical HP, which we are most certainly going to get into in the fight we're about to do, it will... It becomes extremely potent. It practically negates all incoming damage. It is kind of ridiculous. And it is one of the better options for ensuring we survive this upcoming fight, which I absolutely want to make sure that I'm actually prepared for this fight. So we want to equip the Hardened Heart, which I've got right here. We want to equip the Leechmonger Ring. This is a famous immortality combo. And just to give myself some extra insurance here, we want to equip the eyeglasses, which allows us to, or increases our accuracy, which should allow us to avoid some of the more chance-based effects of this fight where, oh, there's a beekeeper. Not that I'm overly concerned about this guy. Bunch of enemies over here, not concerned about them. We just want to dive into the old storage real quick. May as well check out some of these items. And let me see here. Okay, so we got that beekeeper waiting out there, so I'm going to use the beer here. Not even bother with the full effect. We're going to drop a safety save here, and I'm just going to take out all the enemies that are camping out and come back in, reset the timer, and then we will go to the boss fight that I was planning on doing. So let's make our safety save here. And let me clear out all those enemies that are camping out the entrance. Alright, so actually after a pretty significant amount of jump cuts and a couple of false starts in the recording, I actually did quite a bit off-screen because I was very misled about the requirements for triggering this boss fight. I had assumed that you just needed to get into this section of Preheval to trigger it, but that does not seem to be the case. In fact, it does seem to be that you need to activate Telectroscope in the bunker in Deepest Woods, which possibly you need to activate all Telectroscopes and trigger ending A to trigger this fight. Either way, that's not really that important. At this point, we do not care about the effects of withdrawal, so we're just going to start popping heroin to get these stat bonuses, because we're going to be able to take advantage of that in every fight that I get into at this point. So before we get into this fight, I just want to, once again, go over the equipment setup. Absolutely, we want Leechmonger Ring and Hardened Heart. If we have the I forget the name of it, the Octoid necklace from either being Olivia or collecting it from the news agency. Absolutely have that equipped. Otherwise, equip something that gives you accuracy or something that just improves your damage output. We don't care about the blindness status, so I'm equipping the death mask for extra magic damage. Hopefully that'll help us out in this coming battle and allow us to end it quickly, because you really do want to end this fight quickly. So heading this way, now that we have set the proper flags, a platoon advances towards us. This is a special fight exclusive to Maso mode. You'll never see this in Fear and Hunger mode. With the platoon, this one is a lot different from the one you fight in Ending A, including in Maso mode. This one has multiple limbs to target, specifically the right arm, the left arm, the cannon, and then its torso. Torso has the same amount of HP that the platoon normally has, which is 10,000. And the arms and the cannon, they have like 4,000 to 6,000 or something. Something that's way too much to whittle down. And this guy hits hard. Like, all of his attacks deal upwards of 30 damage to you. And he also has his coin flip attack that he uses every turn, which if you do not have the Hardened Heart, you will not survive. And obviously, if you get hit with that, even with the Hardened Heart, he's going to follow up with slaps from his left arm and right arm. The only way to consistently survive this fight without nailing the coin flip every time is to have counter stance, plus the Hardened Heart, plus the Leechmonger ring. This will cause you to counter every single one of his attacks and get a little bit of HP back every time you take damage. Of course, we can also succeed the coin flips to minimize some of the damage that we're taking, but it is absolutely, absolutely critical that you have a setup like this, and ideally something to maximize your chance to hit, because each part of the platoon has a small amount of evasion, 5%. Now, I don't know if actually having evasion boosts or accuracy boosts rather, overcomes this evasion, but it certainly cannot hurt. There are two methods you can employ to try and get around this fight. Take out the cannon and then focus the body, or just go straight into focusing the body and try to take it out as quickly as possible. Do note that the body is susceptible to poison, but the platoon is unique in that he is the only enemy in the game where his torso's break value and his max HP value are the same, so you do not kill him any faster than you would, say, a villager. So he has the identical, it's identical between the two values. I gotta be honest, I'm not actually sure if using rev points on Black Orb actually increases its damage or not. There you can see the evasion coming in, and unfortunately that confirms something that I was afraid of, which is that even with the eyeglasses, the evasion still procs, so that's probably not something we can really circumvent, but we should be fine though. Just as long as the physical attacks hit every time, that's all that really matters. As you can see, he's kind of focus firing Karen, so not exactly the best this fight has ever gone for me. And now all attacks are just going to be directed at her, but we've done quite a bit of a number on his HP at this point, and with the Death Mask and maxed out Ladance Macabre, okay, yeah, so boosting the Black Orb does actually have a pretty substantial effect on the damage. Never really paid enough attention to notice that. Okay, but looks like he is on the ropes here, so let's just do some physical attacks here, get some of our HP back. Looks like he can just do charges now, but we have counter stance at our disposal. So that's another thing that helps out with this fight. I actually did not know that you could circumvent or just completely disable his body like that after dealing enough damage, so that's pretty nice to know. So we'll just keep doing normal strikes here, and give ourselves more chance to roll a mulligan in the event that, we miss or anything. As you can see, I forgot to set up Bob and Weave. I really should have done that. Counterattack still procs on the enemy missing, so that makes it pretty good right there. But that is the fight that we wanted to check out. I really was worried that I was about to step on that mine like an idiot. One thing to note, about those riflemen, the 10 HP damage shot that they do to you on the field, that can actually kill you in the event that, what is it? you are under or at exactly 10 HP. So do be mindful of that when traveling in the vicinity of these guys. Fortunately, we don't have to worry too much about them. And we've taken out the platoon. One of the hardest boss fights in the game, if you do not have a consistent method for dealing with that guy, even stuff like pheromones onto the blood golem, that strategy succeeding is entirely dependent on winning the coin toss every single time. So yeah, this guy, you really need like an infinite HP regen strategy. Anything you can do to give you that, and even that, it's not entirely consistent because he has evasion, and of course, what is it? He has evasion, and oh god, what is it? He has evasion. Oh my god, what was I gonna say? This is gonna drive me nuts. Whatever, it's a really tough fight. Fortunately, it is also a completely skippable one. In the event that you are going for ending A and you do activate all the triggers for it, I'm just going to stop by Dr. Kiefer's here to buy some Zaza. So give me that Wild Daga here. Wild Dagas, you can also collect these by the train with Undergrowth Awareness, but the main use of these, they can be used in battle to cause stun, but you can also smoke them, and they give you a 100 boost to your mind. Not that it really matters, because we have heroin at this point to just completely top ourselves off, but it is an option that you have if you do not want to give yourself withdrawal. But like I said, we have enough heroin to cover every mandatory fight left in the game, so who cares about withdrawal at this point? So now that that is taken care of, the platoon, as I was saying, he's a completely optional battle. Even if you are going for ending A, what you can do is, instead of going back through Western Preheval, you can instead go towards the Ruined Shack, and normally the Ritual Circle in the Ruined Shack, once the Rare timer starts, there's just simply not enough time to run to it, draw something, and then run back indoors for safety. But it is a good thing to use for diving into the Rare dimension to reset Rare's timer. That is a perfectly viable thing you can do with it, and it's probably the only serious use you can get out of it. If you are super fast, it is actually possible to run from the bunker in Deepest Woods into the shack by the train and dive into that to reset Rare's timer. It is super time specific. You need to make it at just the right amount of time. I don't believe it was possible until sprinting got added. Your only option for saving yourself, if you were to take the southern route out of the Deepest Woods, was to go into the Rare dimension at that Ritual Circle. As you can see, I took out that rifleman because he was annoying me. I didn't want to have to deal with the constant HP loss just trying to get past him. So that was just something I could do to add some safety there. One thing that I didn't remark on when we were fighting Abella is that, or rather after we fought her, is that you cannot saw the head off of her. She's a muscular enemy that always breaks the saw. So that's yet another contestant that, if they Moonscorch, you cannot actually get a guilt-free contestant head off of them. It is just going to fail every time. This is also an opportunity I'd like to comment on something that really annoys me about Maso mode, is that the distance between the shortcut back to Shopping Street and any place that is resets the Rare timer, any indoors that you can use to reset it, it's just way too far to actually take that shortcut back to Shopping Street. You will get Moonscorched before you can make it into the restaurant to reset the timer, so really frustrating that is something that you have to deal with there. Alright, so once again, we're just going to pop up one of our heroines here, put ourselves back at full stats, and full mind, conveniently. Now, we need to redo our equipment loadout once again. First off, absolutely critical that you have access to, let's see, limb protection. Don't care about anything else here. I'm going to equip, what do I want to equip? The Choc to get the most damage possible out of this. Let me see, just make absolutely sure that's, what is it? My Spice Forge is set up correctly, even though I haven't used it, but this is actually a good opportunity to use Loving Whispers to restore myself, so demonstrating that little bit of tech there, just use Spice Forge, quickly swap the blue spice onto Loving Whispers. Use that to restore yourself. Honestly, I should have used that before I used the heroin. I just wasn't thinking. But you know how it goes sometimes. And then use Spice Forge again. Set that back onto Black Orb. Now we are going to fight Pocket Cat. Very, very unique fight. Absolutely, absolutely, you want limb protection for this. Oh, friend, it's come to this? I'm sorry, Pocket Cat. Had to happen eventually.
Hello there.
And yes, Pocket Cat actually has English voice clips. We've got quite a pickle here. You see, my master made it very, very, very clear that I shall not let my dirty little paws affect the course of the events during the festival. But what is a gentleman duel without an adrenaline rush of an excitement? I cannot just stand here idle, now can I, old sport? So, I came up with the most perfect solution. If you tell me what to do, I'm just following your wishes, right? Right? So tell me, which limb would you have me remove? Do not worry, my touch is gentle yet firm. We cannot refuse him. If you try... Oh, what poppycock, sure you do, don't be shy. So, we can have him remove an arm, have him remove a leg, or behead us and kill us instantly. Obviously, we do not want him to do that, so you are actually protected by limb protection here, and he can miss outright. Now, there is a catch here. He will not allow you to select the same limb more than twice, so after a point, you will have no option but to let him behead you, and that is, of course, after the 4th turn, after he's taken everything else. We want to kill him before that, which, thankfully, it's pretty easy. He doesn't have that much torso HP, so we can just spam Greater Black Orb on his torso and take him out that way. And, of course, the Blood Golem will be helping us out here. Pocket Cat's eyes lit up. A nice rubbing. Hey, Pocket Cat, try not to have too much fun there. So tell me, which limb would you have me remove? So once again, we'll have him go for the leg. Once again, limb protection will protect you against this. He can also attack the Blood Golem every now and again, which is nice when it happens, but not always something you can count on. So once again, we're just going to resume the Black Orbing with the Death Mask and the Choc helping us out here. Well, this should take him out relatively quickly. That's around like 2,000 torso HP, I think. We should be getting close to that. You? Oh, you're my chosen one. Let's have a little one-to-one, shall we? Pocket Cat is whispering the secrets to Karen Z. Karen Z is looking shocked and paralyzed over every minute detail. And yes, he has a variety of that, and he just, likes to rub the inside of his pocket. And just remember that this is Dan, in reality. Go ahead and take one of my arms. Now we have no choice but to let him take arms, but he can potentially miss. He did not there, but as you can see, he does not hit that hard anyway, so it is not... What the heck? Why did it... Oh dear, that's actually really bad. This might put us in an untenable situation. Rip my arm. Okay, hopefully I don't know why it skipped my turn there. That's weird. Why did it do that? That is so bizarre. Whatever, let's just use our remaining rep points, make sure this takes him out. That was bizarre. I do not know what happened there. Okay, there we go. That actually got scary. I did not expect it to get that close. Sometimes the turn order in this game, little finicky like that. So we get a nice cache of items here. Now at this point, we have every soul that we need, so we are ready for the end of the game. So no reason to hang on to any of our remaining items here. Let's make one more condensed lavender, one more mixed herbs. Let's see here. I'm just thinking about how I want to use up my stuff here. Let's once again use Spice Forge, swap the blue spice onto Loving Whispers here, and then just use that really quickly. And want to go to the bottom of the list. Thankfully, the game will not let you use spells that you do not actually have the mind to foot the cost of. And then, once again, put that back onto Black Orb. Let me think here. I don't actually have any items to inflict poison, which is a bit unfortunate, but it should not be critical. So I think we're actually ready to do the end of the game. Now I'm going to stop by at Donovan's house and make a save there real quick. So let's just do that and use up our last Book of Enlightenment. Final one that we got from Pocket Cat. Unfortunately, I did not have enough heads. We only got 2 more after our previous trade with Pocket Cat, so we couldn't get another Book of Enlightenment if we wanted to, but that is a-okay, because we are at a position where we can save no problem anyway. So now, let's head into Donovan's house, let's save, and before we get to the final boss fight, I'm just going to splice in something real quick. Alright, joining you in post here for a clip from my previous Maso Mode run featured on my channel, which was Levi going for ending A. This is showing off the fight with the Giant, as I did not properly show off how to fight this guy in the video proper, or the Let's Play proper. I just shot him to death, so I just wanted to show off what this guy was capable of. The main reason I didn't want to fight him is just because I was in a bit of a resource bind. This guy is a very magic-heavy fight, and I did not have much alcohol to spare. Well, I did have rifle ammo to spare, so I just wanted to spare myself some trouble there, and kill the guy with guns. In this run, I actually incorporated getting the Hardened Heart from stealing off of him, so I did not have to spend 99 shillings to get that. Now, the Giant is a super, super dangerous opponent, easily one of the most dangerous Moonscorch in the game. He has about 5,000 HP as his torso break value, and with his left arm, he can inflict Fracture on you, which lowers your max HP permanently and reduces your attack power by a bit. So he is not an easy fight by any means, and you pretty much have to defeat him by spamming Mischief of Rats to stun him and hopefully land a DOT like Burn or something on him. Plus, your Blood Golem, once you get it up and running, which obviously this is before you have access to first Blood Golem to get him out on the field right away, so you have to do that on an extra turn. Let me see, what was I going to say? So yeah, you gotta do that on an extra turn, and then once you got that set up, you're gonna have to heal him. This actually burns through a lot of healing items in this playthrough, which is another reason why I didn't go for this. As you can see, I failed to land Burn on his torso, which that's just kind of something you have to deal with every now and again. Sometimes Murky Vial fails, even though it's a relatively consistent thing to do. But hopefully you can land some kind of DOT. If you happen to have the Meat Grinder, you can inflict Bleed on him, which helps out a ton. Another thing is that he is immune to blind, so that is not really an option you can do here. I think at this point I was just like, you know what, I'm not having any luck with the DOTs, maybe I should just attack him. But I decided to commit to it, since I've already... What else am I going to use Ornament Lanterns for? But yeah, this is a very, very dicey and resource-intensive fight, so I really would not recommend fighting this guy. He can just really mess you up. He has a coin flip attack, so, you know, you gotta be on the guard for that. Just do not mess around with the Giant. If you have the ability to shoot him to death, just do that. That's where I'll end this. I just wanted to show this fight off properly so you could see what it was like in action. And yeah, that's just something I wanted to show off. Since we didn't get to see it properly in the actual Let's Play, I kind of regretted killing the Giant by shooting him. I didn't really think too hard about it at the time, and I was in a bit of a resource bind, so I didn't want to get into any unnecessary conflicts, and I had tons of spare rifle ammo, so I just wanted to do that to take him out. But after thinking on it for a bit, I was just like, you know, I really should have done that fight legitimately. But, you know, here's to the could-have-beens, right? Anyway, heading into this way, we have to skip through this tower text, of course. Pov's dead body is here. If he is not removed from the game in another way, that is just another way you can see him. We want to quickly use up another heroine here. And before I forget, I also want to craft a brown vial real quick, if I am able to, which we should be able to, because I got a light blue vial off of Pocket Cat there. And now that everyone is dead, let's just touch the door and open it up. And now we are actually going to be seeing the alternative to how ending B can play out. Now, once again, this is not too terribly different from how it normally plays out, for the exception of what happens after you defeat Perkeel. So we're just going to blitz through Perkeel's text and get to the relevant part. Actually, I'm going to have to change my equipment when I get into the fight real quick, because I did not give myself the right setup. Whoopsie. That is okay, though. That is not a huge deal. Okay, so heading into the fight here, or rather into the final cutscene, we're just going to hold the fast forward key, get to see the nice nightscape of Perheval. And yes, this little vista view that you get is different depending on the time of day that you actually decide to finish the game. Let me see. Peak of Grandeur. I just want out of the city. So he's just gonna force us to go through that rigmarole. But let's see. Okay, so yes, you two had a chance to join our ranks, but bloodlust doesn't boil inside you quite the way we'd hope. So that's it. No illustrious heights for you. And that's referencing how we did not get all the souls. And yes, once again, he will offer us our freedom, and he stands in our way. Things will play out a little differently, though. Alright, so to start this off, we want to redirect his attacks onto the Blood Golem, as he can be pretty nasty on Maso mode with how hard he hits. So let's just quickly use pheromones, get that stuff on the Blood Golem real quick, and then I will launch an attack going into the next turn, or rather the extra turn, but I do want to set up my equipment the correct way. I don't quite have it how I want it to be at the moment, so first order of business, of course, we want to use Blood Golem, now, or rather, Greater Black Orb. Now, one thing to note about Perkeel that I did not really cover when we fought him properly, or rather in the previous videos, is that he has a thing where he can throw up his guard, and it will reflect magic. So when he does that, you do want to make sure that you, actually, do I have the wrong equipment? Let me see. I don't need the Salmon Snake Rune anymore. What I do need is the Betel Stone, so we want to equip that real quick. Where is it? Put that on. And, yeah, actually, I do want all this stuff, so we're just going to let him take out the Blood Golem, honestly. It doesn't matter too much. I should be able to take him out before he becomes too much of an issue. Actually, the Blood Golem should be able to tank another Lunar Meteorite for us. There is Wingguard. That is the attack that allows him to reflect incoming magical attacks. That is not something I care about too much. We're just going to let him take out Blood Golem here. Hit him with Lunar Meteorites. And then now we just have to deal with his incoming attacks, but it is not a huge deal. As you can see, he can inflict bleed on us, but again, it's not something I'm overly concerned about. We should be able to finish him off with these double strikes here, especially if we get a crit. Or not. Okay, he's a bit spicier than I realized he was. Let's just guard. This should have the incoming damage from Lunar Meteorite. We can just focus our offense during the extra turn. Once again, hit him with double attacks. Hopefully this kills him this time. If I can actually hit. Oh, jeez. This is not going the way I was expecting it to. Luckily, I made the correct decision to save. And we've got plenty of healing items at our disposal here, so I am not overly concerned with this fight going a little off the rails. And honestly, I would like an opportunity to heal myself anyway, so let's use Loving Whispers here. Not the greater variant, the much more costly 30 Mind variant. As you can see, bleed is not anything we need to be concerned about, really. The damage is so minimal, and unlike DOTs on the enemy's torso, it cannot kill you, so it's not something you have to concern yourself with at all. Okay, let's hopefully take him out here. Man, the music didn't even get a chance. Okay, there we go. I did not realize he was so durable. Impressive. Very impressive indeed. But what do you think happens next? This is what you wanted, right? Hear that? He's coming already. Time for you to wake up. And this is, of course, playing out very, very differently from how Ending B did in our previous playthrough went. If you do not qualify for Ending C, this happens at the conclusion of the Perkeel fight instead. Now, even though Rher has technically left the world, his remnants have not. And as demonstrated in the first game, the remnants of gods are capable of acting independently of their source, and they are still inhumanly powerful. So we do have to take on the remnants of Rher. And I'm actually going into this fight in a bit of an undesirable position at less than full health, but thankfully the Blood Golem does get restored here. I do actually have to focus on topping off my health to start, and depending on what happens... Or my mixed herbs right here. Actually, you know what? No, let's use Loving Whispers. Now, something to note. It is super critical to either use pheromones to redirect Rher's attacks onto the Blood Golem, or to have a Betel Stone. And this is why. The All-Seeing Eye. These attacks hit you continuously and reduce your mind. If you do not have a Betel Stone and the turn ends and you have 0 mind at your disposal, You are hosed. You will be killed. Okay, thankfully we get the extra turn here, so I can use pheromones to redirect attacks onto the blood golem, which will allow me to spend time just focusing on healing myself and stuff. Let me see here. Oh, I don't even have enough. Okay, let me see here. I need to think hard about how I want to approach this. Alright, I need to, that's actually really nasty. Let me see. Yeah, I do need to use mixed herbs. Unfortunately, I was a little unlucky with the attack hitting me there. Now we need to use a condensed lavender to get our mind back up, and hopefully we do not end up tanking all of the all-seeing eye attacks this time. I want him to get at least a couple onto the blood golem so we can start redirecting the attacks, and not worry about our mind constantly being torpedoed. Okay, there we go. Now the fight should be back under control. We're going to pheromones onto the blood golem. And what we're going to do now is we want to take out all of those all-seeing eyes just so the fight doesn't take any longer. Now, Rher is pretty resistant to magic, but with 2 magic boosting items stacked on us, plus La Danse Macabre, just at 280 magic, it really does not matter that he has some resistance to it. And we do not care if there is one of his multi-target attacks, Lunar Storm. Pretty nasty stuff to deal with, but that's the kind of thing that we have Healing Whispers for. And this is the main thing that we wanted all those condensed lavenders for, is that this allows us to keep our mind completely topped off for the duration of this fight, so I don't have to worry too much about running out of magic to cast and having to rely on the Battlestone just to fill my tank up. But there we go, we took out all of the all-seeing eyes, so now we don't have to worry about that. Moonscorch inflicts you with burn, which I don't care about, it's just too minimal. The main attacks to watch out for are Lunar Storm, since it hits both you and the Blood Golem. Now that we've got the all-seeing eyes taken care of, we can focus on going on just a complete offense here. I'm going to use a condensed lavender on myself to restore my mind, plus take advantage of the fringe benefit of triggering meditation. So that will help us out there. Not that it's really come up in this playthrough, but one thing to be mindful of with, oh, never mind, the bug didn't take effect. Oh, well. One thing to be mindful about with meditation is that it interacts very poorly with Marco's Perfect Guard skill. Perfect Guard, in most situations, seems to overwrite it, denying you the effects of meditation, though I don't know if it denies you the effects of Perfect Guard either. As you can see, meditation itself kind of behaves in strange ways, because other times it'll give you the rev points off of using an item, and other times it won't, so that's just something we gotta deal with. But at this point, Rher, like so many other bosses in the game, he just has a single targeting damage that only hits once, so as long as you keep yourself above certain thresholds with the Hardened Heart at play...
How do you like that, Obama? I pissed on the moon, you idiot!
And that fight went, went way better than I was expecting it to. That was surprisingly quick, despite the rough fight I had against Perkeel. As you can see, Karen Z, she's not doing so well off of the things she saw. The moon god grew disinterested in you and slowly drifted away. This is commonly mentioned with the remnants of old gods. Your characters don't truly defeat them. The old god just loses its interest and gives up on you. So we likely did not actually kill it, and that's just the remnants of Rher. You've become a witness to something beyond your comprehension. You've seen something you shouldn't have. As you slowly regain your consciousness, you realize you're not the same person as you were still just a brief moment ago. You wake up to a new reality. Suddenly the dark void above you feels that much larger, almost infinite. There are things in this world beyond your understanding, beyond human understanding. You're not sure if this feeling is that of enlightenment or that of total terror. The gentle wind on your cheek feels alien. With this newly acquired understanding, even the most minor sensations have this altered nuance to them, the moonlight tainting your existence. But, at least you survived, with your mind still somewhat intact. You survived. And yes, this is the alternative ending B, and this one is genuinely Day 4, so the title is not a misnomer. The fog clears, and we see the sun, and we end off a little bit worse than how we ended in the ending B, where we just simply rejected Perkeel's offer. This does not have any impact on your epilogue, though, which I guess I understand, because it'd be annoying to come up with 2 distinct epilogues for every variant of ending B for every character, but we make it out alive. The only soul that returned from the trip was you. Just something that I'd like to note, there are distinct rewards for clearing Maso mode. For clearing Ending B in Maso mode, you get the Lunar Storm spell, and it is absolutely terrible. It is Roots That Reap, more or less, except it costs twice as much mine to cast, with the only benefit to it is that you don't need to draw any Venushka sigils to get it. You're supposed to get Moth Swarm from getting Ending A on Maso mode, but due to a programming error, it just unlocks on Fear and Hunger mode also, so there is no benefit there either. And besides, Red Arc just kind of blows that spell out of the water either way. Now let's actually see Karen Z's epilogue here. The events of Praheevil shook you to the core. Suddenly many things in life felt meaningless against the overwhelming realization of what hides behind the veil between the known and the unknown. As you returned back to civilization, you understood that your experiences would sound like the ramblings of a madman if you ever tried to put them down on paper. You needed proof before you could open your mouth. You had witnessed the rumors about the new gods and Kaiser in real life. You knew they were real. This was half the job already. Now you only needed to convince the rest of the world of this forbidden information. This goal helped you get by each day. You needed clear goals to block the dread out of your mind. You started digging, like you've always done. Sooner or later, you would get to the root of things. Remains to be seen whether your sanity will withstand the truth or not. And with that, after numerous setbacks in this video that will not be seen because of the amount of editing I will apply to this, we have finished Maso mode. Now, one other thing that can happen, if you go for Ending A and you have not killed the Gull Maulers, they will appear after your fight with the Platoon and the Sylvian Trooper, but you can easily just run past them and not fight them at all. Now, I previously had spliced in a video clip from my Maso mode run with Levi, which also got Ending A. It's not a really good video, honestly, but if you want to see more Fear and Hunger content from me specifically, it's there. But that one does go for Ending A instead of Ending B, and I only kill the contestants that I felt were worthwhile to do so. But that is Fear and Hunger 2 Termina. Thank you so much for anyone who has watched. I actually got some pretty nice positive comments in response on these videos. I was super stoked to see that people were engaged with that, especially because I was kind of late to the Fear and Hunger content wagon. As you can probably tell from my unabashed enthusiasm in a lot of the videos, I absolutely love this game. I think it's one of the better RPG Maker games I've played in a very long time. Even if it is as buggy as many of those games tend to be, I just absolutely adore the amount of effort that was put into this game, all the unique things that you can do, the various ways you can play through the games, even if it's not like it's stuff that relates to arbitrarily restricting yourself. I still appreciate that it exists at all. There's so many fine little details, and honestly, I know some of the more transgressive content present in both of the Fear and Hunger games can be a little alienating to people, but honestly, I've never minded dark content like that. I've always had a fascination with some of this stuff, so this game really scratched an itch that a lot of games released these days don't really hit. Or at the very least, if they do, I feel like they're a little too try-hard. Not to say that this game can't be a little try-hard at moments, but I don't feel like it's to a criticizable degree. And from the amount of other people in the community surrounding this game that also like it, I think it's not alienating to people who have similar tastes to me either. And I am so excited to see like the additional content that's going to be added in this game in the future. We're probably going to see a major content update this summer once Orange gets a chance to double down on his coding efforts to get back the lost work. And yes, that leads into my next point. This is not the true end of the Fear and Hunger Let's Play. It's going to be a while before I upload another video, because that's just going to be wholly dependent on when the new content drops, and when I am actually able to go through it and develop my own route for it for a recording. But I will absolutely be doing that, so even though this is going to be the last video for a while, it is not going to be the last video for this Let's Play period, and I hope anybody who's seen these videos and enjoyed them will stick around, or at the very least keep an eye out for when that happens. I even might just do some streaming of my first impressions of the new content when it drops, because I'm really looking forward to it. Orange has posted on his Twitter showing off some of the assets for the new areas, one of the new enemies that you're going to find, and though he did lose a lot of the implementation due to a hardware failure, he still had those assets, so it really was just redoing the implementation work. Not to downplay that effort, he said straight out it cost him a couple hundred hours of work, which all my sympathy goes out, because that's just horrible to have to deal with. But he was able to retain some of it, and he has been making good progress, sharing little updates on it, and he does promise that within the relatively near future, though he doesn't want to commit to a date to avoid upsetting anyone, we will be able to see that content very, very soon. But that is where we're going to call it for now. Perhaps when the new updates drop, we'll see how it affects Maso mode as well. We'll see if this mode gets any change, since I have to imagine Orange has been keeping his ears to the ground, checking out the dominant strategies, and I have no doubt in my mind he's going to come up with counters for that stuff, because he doesn't seem like the type who likes to break certain stuff by just disabling things. Thank you for playing, Karen Z. So it's just going to be interesting to see how this game develops going into the 2.0 versions, and I am absolutely excited for it. Hope you're excited for it too. Hope to see you when all of that drops, but until then, that's where we end the Fear and Hunger videos, and I will see you in my next Let's Play, which will almost assuredly be Daikatana. See you then.